This is the Nomad Futurist podcast, a podcast about the evolution of technology, society, and transformation. Connect with us, share your thoughts with us at nomadfuturist.com. Let's get this started. Here are Phil and Nabeel. Hello. Welcome to Nomad Futurist. This is your co-host, Nabeel Mahmood from Kona, Hawaii.
This is your co-host, Phillip Koblence from Montclair, New Jersey.
This is Ray Sidler from DataVerge in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. Phil, that's your neighborhood.
That's right.
It used to be.
Used to be. Ray, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It's been long overdue. Evidently, there's a lot of history, especially amongst the two of you. So could you briefly introduce yourself? What do you do and who are you with?
Sure. So I'm currently the co-CEO and co-founder of DataVerge. We are a data center or interconnected facility, now they call it, in Brooklyn. We have about 55,000 square feet of built out space. We have 3 megawatts of power currently in production. We have about 1 megawatt left that we can provision. And the special part about DataVerge today is we have about 50 megawatt substation right outside and a lot of space in the building to expand, to get the hyperscalers or to get not the hyperscalers. We can do a flavor of pretty much anything right now, which is pretty cool. So we'll see where that leads us into the market.
Brilliant. So how long have you been doing this? How long have you been in the data center and the technology space? Let's step back a bit and peel this onion.
Forever. Just like Phil has no hair. I'm almost there.
Well, you got it.
I always say this. I have hair where it counts.
Yeah, we started a small hosting company in 2003. And we got a little colo facility in Brooklyn, about 100 square feet. We had an office in Jersey because it was comfortable to get to the office. And we would hate coming to Brooklyn. Our tech would come to Brooklyn. That 100 square feet grew to 200 square feet, to 300 square feet, to 400 square feet in a matter of about a year, which is quick for just a startup. And we were then introduced to a little office here in Industry City. This was in 2006. Our other landlord for the data center wanted us out because they couldn't support the loads, the heat loads, and they couldn't cool our equipment. So we found this, and it was tough. It was our first, most expensive lease that we had. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. If clients are going to leave or not. Me and my partner have done this all without our investment. Even today, we don't have really any investors, very minimal. And we found this place in Brooklyn, and eventually we took it over in 2006. And we were able to really grow and kind of concentrate on colo customers or hosting. I really hated the hosting because the hosting, those clients complaining the most that pay $39.99 a month.
Those clients are paying $39.99 a year now.
Yeah, exactly. And we were able to somehow, don't know how, just by having the customers trust Ray and Phillip and our team, build it to a good name, which we used to call ColoGuard.
ColoGuard, that sounds very familiar to me.
Right.
I feel like in lieu of a colonoscopy, I used your services once.
We changed the name in 2016 or 17. We changed to ColoGuard completely, and because we had a hosting name, it was good. So we changed to ColoGuard, and all of a sudden, we're starting to get shit to the office, literally. And it was like, okay, time to make a change. So we reached out to ColoGuard and asked if they wanted to buy our name. They said, no, we really don't care. We don't need it. Whatever you're getting, whatever shit you're getting, we're getting a lot more shit.
Let me contextualize this a little bit for our audience that might not have lived through the ColoGuard commercials that were very prevalent in the Northeast. So ColoGuard, not Ray and Ruben's colo company, but ColoGuard was an alternative colonoscopy tool that came out around the same time, maybe a year later or 2 years later. And you would see ColoGuard commercials all over the place. They did huge ad campaigns, which I think were national. And basically what it does is instead of going to your doctor for a colonoscopy, you get a kit that they send you, and you literally have to poop in a box, and you send it to them for analysis. And based on their analysis, they'll say, you know what, you're good. There's nothing in here. We've analyzed it. Or they'll say, you know what, you should get a colonoscopy because we've seen some markers here. So what these guys actually had happening to them was people sending them boxes of human feces, like actual shit.
Right.
Poop. They were getting shit on their doorstep. So in response to that, for good luck, yeah, no, it's a good luck if a bird shits on your head. I'm not sure it's good luck if somebody sends you a box of their own shit. And basically what their response was like, oh my God, I can't believe people are sending us boxes of shit, was to call ColoGuard, the company that obviously had big budgets, and say, you know what, we'll sell you our domain name that they had, right? You had,
yeah, their domain name was ColoGuard Test. And
Right.
we could still get, you come to our website, ColoGuard.com. I mean, it's a data center. You can tell that it's different. They didn't care. They didn't know. The company is actually Exact Sciences. And when we figured out that it was Exact Sciences, this is a $6 billion company, publicly traded. There's no way we can compete with the Google AdWords campaigns or the Fox News campaigns.
And here I thought that you guys are just being New Yorkers.
Right. No, that's the context. What's amazing about this is Nabeel and I have been hosting this thing for long enough now where you could have had that conversation about, like, people were sending us shit all the time, and he would have been like, oh, this is another Phil conversation where they're just saying the word shit to each other with no context. It was actually human shit that was being sent to them. So what was their response after they said no?
So they said no. And we were like, okay, listen, we're not going to change our name. We said, no problem. We'll continue. We'll absolutely continue. A year and a half goes by. They finally reach out to us and say, we're willing to buy your name. And we didn't want to get rid of the name because we also had investments in the name. And
sure.
people,
and then you had 2 years more of having used that name.
Yeah. So then finally they approached us. We agreed to an amount. And our conversations here at the office was, are we going to have issues where clients pay us if we change our name? No. Our new clients going to get to know us on a new name? Yes. So what's the downside of changing our name? What are we going to lose? You know what? We're going to lose nothing. The only thing we're going to lose is it's work. So,
right. Well, you're also going to lose the shit that you're coming to.
We're going to lose
a
lot of shit. Yeah, we're going to lose a lot of shit because we put in a lot of money into our Google AdWords to compete with their shit. Right. So like, hey, do we want to keep fighting this battle, or what's our pluses and minuses? And it was the best thing we ever did. Obviously, we picked a great name, DataVerge. I love our new name. We got a brand new marketing PR team as well to help us in this fight from changing the name.
And presumably that was funded by Exact Sciences.
That was absolutely funded by Exact Sciences. Yeah.
So if anybody wants to know how to be successful, it's not necessarily about like creating the best service, the best offering. Just create a name that is loosely related to some like human body part that some place might end up using. I mean, the best investment I ever made in all of it was accidentally buying a Bitcoin. Just in terms of like overall percentage, I accidentally bought it like years and years ago because I was going to pay somebody that stole all my pictures and ended up not paying them. The best investment you ever made is picking the name ColoGuard, which was an absolute accident. It was fucking $35 even. I don't even know.
Yeah, it was $19.99. It was Colo, colocation, right? Security guard. ColoGuard. That was the brand.
That's brilliant.
Colon cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The bigger question I have for you is, after you transitioned and sold them the domain, did you actually move their services to your data center?
No.
So they would move their shit to your shit.
Our email is still working. ColoGuard email. We have enough respect between both organizations because they know no use of anything with ColoGuard. So our forward is still working to this day. It's been 5 years or 7 years since we sold this name.
All right. So here I'm going to give you another $1 billion idea. Right. Set up an email address, cto@cologuard.com. Send an email to your sales team saying we'd like to move all of our infrastructure to the DataVerge data center. Right. And then forward that email to the CEO of Exact Sciences or the CTO of Exact Sciences saying, here's the proposal.
Here's the proposal. Right. We actually sold them the name. The funny thing was that they never bought our Instagram or Facebook. We had so they came back.
What kind of pictures are they going to post? Can you imagine if your whole marketing campaign? I think it's like is it a talking ass? I'm trying to remember like what the logo was.
No, it was like that little C with a little G with a little it's like a little box that talks.
It looks like a shit in the box. Shit in the box. It's the shit box that's talking. Can you put Instagram pictures?
So they came back and they bought our IG and our Facebook.
They came back after that. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Eventually, they'll buy your email.
We changed our name, and I guess our marketing got better. Our image got better. This was also the same time where Jamestown and Belvedere Capital came into our complex and completely revamped our entire 6 million square feet of space. I mean, these guys, they put their life into this. These are the same, Belvedere Capital is the same people that used to own Chelsea Market that's sold to Google. So they were very successful there in building this community. Chelsea market. So they did the same thing here. While we did that and we were changing, they were changing on their side as well.
Yeah, but I mean, if nobody has been to Industry City, it's incredible. What they have done there in Brooklyn is right along the water. They've created kind of a mecca for startups and retail and all the best foods. There's that Japanese market that's incredible. If you ever get a chance to visit it, not the easiest place to get to by subway, but
Yeah.
if you want to swim across the East River,
There's plenty of parking. They have a lot of parking. So we have the nets.
parking.
They did all the
I don't know how you qualify parking in Brooklyn.
Right. I used to have a license plate holder that was like my other car as a parking spot because the parking spot costs as much as the lease of the car.
Car payment.
Right.
No parking is second out all the way. So
Can you imagine what are we, 15 minutes into this thing? And it's all been about shit. So let's step back for a second. So 2003, you started this hosting company. When you were a kid, when you grew up, did you know you wanted to be a hosting company? What is,
I think he was thinking ColoGuard.
Ray, ColoGuard. How does Ray Sidler end up starting a hosting company? What did you want to do as a kid? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born and raised in Flushing, New York, 1978. Parents moved here with not a dollar in their pocket. My father was a cab driver, and my mother was trying to be an accountant. And they came here with all of their parents as well. But my father's side parents were old; they were retired right away. My parents on my mother's side, they went to work right away as well. My grandfather was one of the main engineers at Pepsi for many, many years on Roosevelt Island. And moving quickly along, I graduated high school. My parents just were making a turn in their life. My father was trying to make some deals. And we moved to Fort Lee, New Jersey, when I was 18. They left me in my high school to finish high school with my great-grandmother. She was still alive at the great-grandmother. I lived with her. And obviously, I was, when your grandparents love you the most, well, your great-grandparents love you even more. I didn't go to school the whole half a year of my senior year. I cut school every day. I don't even know how I passed. And I was supposed to leave for college. And that summer, when I stayed with my great-grandmother, I met my wife. I was 18. After my senior year, I ended up moving back to Fort Lee with my parents. And that summer, I got a job. I got a job at a gas station. Never forget this. And one day, pumping gas, and the gentleman pulls up. He goes, "You're a good-looking kid. You seem decent, responsible, blah, blah, blah. I've been filling up his gas already for a month." He goes, "Do you know anything about the internet?" I go, "What do you need me to do? What about the internet?" He's like, we're launching a web hosting company, and maybe you can come in for an interview to get a job." I go, "So this is great. I don't have to smell like gas every day that I come home." So I go to this building. It's called the Metro Media Building. It's right across the street from MetLife Stadium, Secaucus. And I go upstairs, and I come, and I go, "What are you here for?" I go, "I'm here for an interview. Alex told me to come for a job." "What position?" I'm like, "I have no idea what position." He just said,
gas attendant.
Yeah. He's like, "Whatever. There you go." So I'm walking in. They go, "Okay, go to your left." Okay, go to my left. I meet the director of sales, and he hires me on the spot. So I'm working now there for about a week or two. What we're doing, we're selling domain names. We're registering domain names, and we're selling hosting for $4.95 a month, $19.95 a month, $39.95. And you could prepay 20 years and get the 30th year for free, and you get 15% commission. And if it's a hot lead or a cold one, whatever. And I'm doing my spiel. I like that. First 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, this is easy. They give me a list. A lot of older people working there as well. I'm probably one of the youngest. I'm 18, 19. And then he sees me, Alex. 2 weeks later, he's like, "Oh, you work here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got the job." He goes, "How come you're not on the right side? Why are you not on the left side?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I wanted you to go work for support. You're Russian. All of our Russian techs, they're all Russian." I'm like, "I don't know. They put me in sales." So he thought Russian, tech support. I'm like, not tech, definitely not tech support. And eventually, they were growing very rapidly. I was one of their best salespeople. So I got all my friends' jobs. One of them being Ruben, who's my partner today. And we all worked there. We were making great money with commissions. I mean, our salary was $250 a week. And our commissions were $3,000-4,000. I would bring these checks home to my mom. She's like, "Oh my God, you make more than me and your father."
My son is a drug dealer.
Yeah, what do you do?
He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Mom, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's working."
But it's working.
Work. So then They moved into 110 Meadowlands B, which is a data center now owned by, I think, XO. XO owns that data center. They built that. We were rapidly growing. I had probably 20 friends working. Everybody had their friends working. Eventually, they sold the company for, I think, 50 or whatever $1 million. They sold it to Concentric Networks. And then we all worked for Concentric Networks. Concentric Networks then sold it to Nextlink. And Nextlink, then they renamed it to XO Communications. And we all worked for this company, XO Communications, stocks, this, blah, blah. And I was just the sales guy. The owners that sold it opened up another company. They opened a company called DataVerge, which eventually failed miserably. But me and myself and Ruben, we went to work for them as well. We went to work there. They were going to be working with Cantor Fitzgerald, the whole 9/11 happening, and they failed miserably. Their investor lost all their money that was invested in the previous project. He got out. And when he got out of the DataVerge project, the CEO and the VP came up to myself and Ruben said, hey, we're going to go to another company now. It's going to be just 10 of us. Are you interested? And this whole time, I'm still kind of trying to go to college just part-time. And Ruben is in college full-time. And he's still working there. He's working part-time. So we go to this small company with them. And since it's such a small company, I was in charge of getting cages and cabinets, moving all this equipment from down to the data center. And I got to know the business a little bit more hands-on than just being a salesperson and selling really hosting selling hosting already for 5 years with them. And I was doing good at it. And I build a clientele, I build a Rolodex, but it's hosting. It's not really, it's not really.
For those of you that don't know what a Rolodex is, because Ruben is old. I mean, Ray is old. Both of them are old. A Rolodex is where before you could store your contacts in your phone, there was a little thing. It was like a little circular thing on your desk where you had little index cards that had these weird little holes in them. And you put the person's name on it and you would put them back in the thing and then you organize it by alphabet. I'm sorry. Go on.
So I was a director. I was the number one salesperson. Actually, they were at this company.
Oh, God. Let's see this. Is it a box? Oh, look. Oh, a little watch.
It's a little
clock.
It's like
is it right? Is it accurate? 12.
No,
it's
no,
3:22. What it says? 3 hours off.
Ray has not changed the time since he got it.
Right. He got it at 12:31, 15 years ago.
A little gold box. It weighs a lot. I don't think it's gold, but it's a below. So yeah. And then we see that this isn't going the right way with these guys. Like, these movements are working. We're busting our ass. So this was 2002. And by 2003, in the beginning, we're like, you know what? Let's see if we can just start our own. Ruben, we won't be able to start our own. The expenses we need, we don't have this money. No, let's take everything we own. And Ruben is about to get married. He's about to have his first son in 2002. And then let's just do it. Let's just go all in and we know what.
I mean, you're still young, right? You're still, I mean, if we're going to do it. Right.
So we're still young. We were still young. We were 25 to 26. Let's just go. Let's do it. I go, you know what? Okay, we know what not to do because we've been through all this shit. And we launched and we took a 100 square foot cage. We went to Aaron. We got approved for IPs. And we also have a lot of IPv4s because we did hosting in the beginning. We don't really use them anymore, but some clients get them for their blended networks, whatever. And that's how we started. And we went and failures. You don't even know how many failures. I mean, just losing customers, power outages, overheating, you name it. And then we moved here into Industry City. This was 2 years later. We were in 2003, 2006. We're already moved in. And the landlord promises we have a generator. Oh, you have more than enough cooling. Everything is great here. Over there, it was pretty hard. So we would have nights over there where the electricity would just shut down and we would have to have no power for 6 hours on a starter. But we just put all of our money in. And now we move here and we constantly have power outages. And we don't understand why is the generator not kicking in? Why is the generator not kicking in? We finally get to the point where it was built wrong. It was completely built wrong for the building's generator to turn on. If a transformer blows, there's no generator that's going to turn on. There's always something in the middle that breaks. There's no separate line. We didn't know that. It took us 5 years to figure that out. 5 years out of pain and suffering. We just didn't know. Then eventually, this is the best part, I decided to go to Alaska in 2010. Go to Alaska on a trip. And me and my wife and the kids. And we were doing good. We were making money. And, oh, you want this watch? I'll get you this watch. You want this statue, Lalik? You get this statue. You want this? I come back from Alaska. And the Following morning, power goes out. It was still called Galaxy that was out there originally. Power goes out, completely out. Like, holy shit. Get to the office. What happened? Oh, it's because you guys, it's Galaxy Vision. You did something wrong. I'm like, what do we do? Turns out, transformer blew on the roof that belongs to the entire building. Not the complex, but just our building. Why? You guys are over capacity. I'm like, we're over capacity. It's your transformer. You should kind of tell us that we're over capacity. Our fuses in the back tell us we're completely under capacity. We have a fuse. It would have blown at the fuse. It's blowing. You're over. You have another tenant overusing. So they fixed this transformer in 12 hours. Why 12 hours? Because there was an extra transformer on the roof. Now, 12 hours of outage for all of our customers is a complete disaster, right? We finally get everything up. And at this time, our data center is pretty filled up. I mean, we're rocking and rolling. We're making money, right? I can buy a watch. I can do this. Like, all right. Next, we go to sleep. Finally, everything settles down. And we have a lot of clients that do hosting and the dedicated servers. So you got to get that all up yourself. But it's not colo clients that we don't manage their equipment. So next morning I wake up, again, same thing, same exact thing. This time, 19-hour outage. There's no more transformer on the roof. So now they got to bring down both transformers with a crane and find another transformer to get up there. Thank God they find it, they do it, they fix it. And they tell us after they fix this for 19 hours, we're not allowed to go back on the grid. I'm like, what do you mean we're not allowed to go back on the grid? Nope, can't go back on the grid. You need to stay on generator power. We need to run new electrical lines just for your suite. I'm like, and how long is that going to take? They're like, 30 days. I'm like, what are we supposed to do for 30 days? Not go back on the grid. You need to rent a generator. So we rent a generator at Greco. On the contract, I look at the contract, it tells me it's $8,000 a day, but I didn't read the fine print. It was $8,000 for every 8 hours of usage. So it's $24,000 a day. I didn't realize. Ruben is very sensitive. I want a tech on site every day. I want a tech on, I don't care what it takes. Can't afford any more outages, right? So we get a tech on site every day. The generator comes, we connect it, we go back online. And now the landlord starts to build us this brand new electrical line, all new transformers, not new switchgear, just that, and capacity. So 15 days into the generator company calls us and goes, listen, we need to change the filters on the generator. Go ahead, change filters. No, we need to shut off the generator. Like, are you kidding me? I'm ready there. I'm done, you know, so.
I mean, there would have been a really nice exhaust pipe for you to suck on. I think it would have been perfect. You wouldn't have had
disaster. So they roll in another generator for us. We have UPSs. So we're like, okay, we got to plan everything out so we can just really do a quick switch. I don't remember if it was a quick switch. I don't remember because nothing crazy, anything happened. I think we actually did switch it. And then eventually we got new power to our floor. Another 15 days. They did it quickly. We switched over back to the building power. And me and Ruben now like, we need to buy a generator. This can't go on. We need our own generator. So obviously we have insurance, covered by insurance. We get the insurance check for revenue and loss of revenue in this. And Greco comes back with a bill. The bill is $380,000. Something with tax, 24 hours a day tax, and on-site everything. And we got the money from the insurance. I go, what do we do? Do we pay Greco? Or do we go find a generator and buy a generator? And the most business decision was, obviously the correct decision was to go buy a generator and let a Greco just sue us, because otherwise there's just no business. And we found the generator. We went to pick it up. We saw it. It was trucked here. We installed it. And the generator was installed a week before Hurricane Sandy hit. 1 week before, because we also needed money to install it. Obviously, it costs more to install the generator than it is to buy the generator. Like double that. So we finally installed the generator. Hurricane Sandy hit. Now we were completely up and running and working. And you had the exchange, which was upstairs in our building. And they crashed. Their generators crapped out because their fuel tank was in the sub-basement, which did get flooded. And after all of that was 2010. Moving forward to 2017, we changed our name to ColoGuard. We wanted to get away from that name as well. There wasn't any good luck for us, that name. And The landlord was just a disaster. The operator wasn't even the landlord, it was just the operator wasn't investing into the infrastructure. And this complex wasn't doing anything that it really had a potential to do. And after we got all this new switch gear, after we got the gearing and our generator on a completely different line, we were able to survive the next 5-6 years with all the industry city hiccups that they had with their power, because we had our own generator. And we eventually settled with Agreco. We paid them $8,666 per year. And then eventually when Jamestown came in and Belvedere came in, they saw the shit show that was here. They invested over $500 million to the complex. One of the first things that they did was put all new switch gear on for us. So we went on a generator. We have to be on a generator for almost 2 weeks, RGen, and we can change on RGen the filters advance, on the fly. It's good. And they put all new switch gear, all new transformers, everything they changed on our roof. And all the buildings used to be all stuff. We're all in one kind of like substation over here. They went and they fed all the buildings with separate substations. So knock on wood, there hasn't been any outages in quite some time. And the complex has just flourished. And there's thousands of people here, and ecosystem grew. And we approached the landlord, said, hey, well, actually, the landlord approached us in about 2018. How do we get Cogent to building 2? And we told him, like, Cogent's not going to build into building 2. You have to get to us. You have to get to us, and we'll work with you completely. We'll do whatever it takes. We don't want to rob anybody. We just want to build this ecosystem. And they were scared in the beginning. They were scared because it's the meeting room, and you have a 6 million square foot complex. And who are these guys? Ray and Ruben, ColoGuard. And they were scared. It's kind of like, hey, what if they don't pay rent? What do we do with them? They really have something in their hands that can affect. We're like, guys, we're not that. We're gentlemen.
Just don't ask Graco.
Yeah.
Well, they finally got paid.
Yeah.
No, it does make sense. Why would you name your company ColoGuard after all of that?
Right. Yeah. So,
I honestly don't even remember what the fucking question was.
All right, let's step it back a bit. So when you were 18, just graduated high school, what did you want to do?
I wanted to be a lawyer. Actually, no, I'm lying. I'm lying to you. I was.
Well, that's a lawyer.
Yeah, there you go. Mission
No,
accomplished.
I wanted to be a lawyer, but I was going to go be an ophthalmologist. My parents were both opticians. My mom was an accountant for an optician firm, and my father had optical stores. And my father was opening up optical stores in Russia. And he had a few Cohen's fashion optical stores, but my grandfather had Sterling optical stores, and they were in that franchise world. And they kept telling me, you need to be an eye doctor. Pays well. And then after I failed biology miserably, and my mother couldn't even pay off my professor, I figured ophthalmology is not the right move for me or anything to do with the doctor. And then I went to criminal justice in Bergen Community College. I went to Rutgers, and then Bergen Community. I was not for school. I hated school. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then when I met Alex at that gas station, I was in Bergen Community.
Did you graduate?
No, never graduated. I probably have my credits for an associate's, but I never. Ruben graduated a base for business.
Now, going back, at siblings.
No.
Siblings.
No.
Oh
No.
my God, you're the only hope. You were the only.
A lot of abortions, I heard.
Oh my God.
I killed all my siblings.
All right,
So
how do
you
how do
created your own siblings. You have Ruben.
I have Ruben, yeah.
Your brother.
I'm gonna make sure if I get married, I'm going to definitely have 2 kids. I was fortunate enough to have 2 amazing kids.
Brilliant. I mean, as a young man working at the gas station, taking a big risk and getting into a space that you had no idea about, that was kind of like the era that nobody really knew if internet was going to actually even be a thing, and then ended up making good money. I mean, could you walk us through that journey? How did you just say, okay, this is it, I'm all in, I'm going to go make money?
It wasn't even about all in, go and make money. I wanted to be, I think that when he approached me about the field, I just thought, I remembered when I got my first computer when I was 13 years old, and I didn't even know how to get into Windows. It was a C prompt, and I had to call them and wait on hold for an hour. Like, how the hell do I get to Windows? I don't know, just type WIN and you get to Windows. And it's the same answer that people say, oh, how you get into a data center. It's the future. This is the world we live in. It's all tech. I believe in, if you want to be a doctor or you want to be a lawyer, go to school. If you want to have your own business and be an entrepreneur, it's good to know accounting and finance practice, but you can hire those people. But if you have a business sense and you have some kind of business sense, people usually have a sales sense if they have a business sense, or they have a business development sense if they have a business sense. You can do whatever you want with that. You can open up a business, any business. But I always liked tech. And I think even when we were opening up the data center, I always thought it's only going to get bigger. It just has to. It just has to with the world that we live in. Time will make it successful. I remember we were to the hosting companies and we were compete with them. These guys would be huge. Like, do you remember Gator Host or HostGator, right?
Yeah.
And all these guys, we were competing with them, but they just had way too much money in investments. So the only thing that I didn't know was that I didn't know how to go get an investment. I didn't know how to finance it. We did it all with our blood, sweat, and tears, and never took loans out. We never even, Ruben was like, no, we're not getting loans. We're not paying any leases. If we can't afford a server, we won't buy it. We won't get the customer. So I don't know if that was right. We could have grown maybe a little bit faster earlier.
You could have doubled down on something that wasn't successful, right? So the problem with growing by investment with such a quickly evolving industry is that you end up almost overdoing it in one particular direction. So the fact that you didn't have investment and it was you guys just kind of being able to navigate what the market dynamics told you was the right path, which was this shift from hosting, even though you hated the people, right? Shift from hosting to colo, to more data center centric services that are a lot more relevant today. You could have easily built an infrastructure that was not as relevant in what people are currently leveraging than it is today. So it's, the hindsight is always 2020, but I think there's a lot of elements of your story that resonate with me. Obviously, my father also came to this country with nothing, was also a taxi driver, also was born in Flushing. There were so many of it where it's like looking in the mirror, except like being happy that it's me, because you're one of the few people that I'm more attractive than. So the element of it that I think is so valuable, that should be a big takeaway, is how much you learn from the failures. It's one thing to like quote the Chumbawamba song, and when you get knocked down, you get up again. But beyond that, it's just success in many cases, in most cases, is a freak accident. You just happen to be at the right place at the right time. But what you learn from those outages and the experience you have trying to figure out what's going on with a power system and getting the data, getting the generators and sourcing the generators and trying to determine how to stretch that dollar. Yeah. And how do you use, what you eventually did was you used vendor financing to wire a generator, and you just dealt with it. And you're able to do that because you have the flexibility of not having investors, because it was all on you. So it's just that element of, there's a fear to it because it will take pain to learn from that experience. But that pain, what do they say? Pressure turns coal into a diamond. I mean, it makes you a freaking superhero. Nobody can tell you anything.
Right. And it gives you a lot of PTSD. We would have night, whereas in Ruben, we would talk about it, but we would wake up in the middle of the night sweaty that we lost power. We're losing clients. I mean, we had clients literally bite stairs manually to the elevators to remove their equipment. So we've lost it all. We've had a lot. We lost it all. We had a lot. And now finally we're on that path where we've learned a lot. Our systems are all done correctly. Investments have been made. And obviously you don't know that without experience.
And I think part of the issue that people have in this current market, in this current economy, especially in digital infrastructure, is, they take jobs for a lot of these kind of multinational companies, that the Equinixes and the DRTs and the CoreSites and the Aligns and Flexentials and all those guys. And there's an element of doing it the way you did it. That is just,
I don't have the backing of that finances because this is my money. And
right.
If I'm using my money and I know that if my clients are going to be using that service, I'm only going to be screwing myself if I don't do it the right way. So we thought it was the right way. We just weren't told it was. And so that's why we had this experience, because it was just a disaster the way things were wired up here.
But at this point, if something bad happens to you, you're like a surgeon. So there's nothing that
doesn't bother me anymore.
Right.
No, it doesn't even bother me.
If you go to middle management at Equinix, and you have one red light appear on some type of thing, they'll freak out because they just, you have not built the metal, the MEDDLE. I think that's how you spell it.
Or you can just send them a ColoGuard strip.
Right. You just say, yeah, go shit in a box. Go shit in a box and send it to Ruben.
Yeah. Listen, we have the same thing with generators. We test our generators. We go above and beyond what is normally done. Like we do generator quarterly because we know what could happen.
You have these immigrant parents. You tell them, they obviously, your father was a taxi driver, right? So he understands gas station attendant.
Yeah.
You tell them, I'm going to go get this job.
My father says,
no.
He says, no, I don't like it. You're going to go to school and you're going to keep pumping gas. And my mother goes, no, let him try it. What's wrong with that? Nope, shouldn't. I don't like it. I don't know who these people are. And he's got a job, gas station. He just got the job. He's making money. Whatever, making money. I mean, $50 a day. And my mother goes, let him try it. Let him go. And it was the best thing I ever did. Thank God that I was at that gas station because I probably wouldn't go become a tech. I didn't know that I wanted to do that. But when I was introduced to it, I loved it. I love that.
Right. And if you made that right turn instead of left turn.
Yeah, I would have been tech support. Yeah. So it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And we always talk about that story with my parents. It was the greatest thing. And then a lot of life lessons. I never wanted my own data center. I never did because it's expensive having your own data center and looking after all these HVACs, looking after all these UPS, changing the batteries every 3 to 5 years, and the service and the gens and the fuel. I mean, that's why a lot of people don't have their own data centers. They just have their 20, 30, 40 racks, or they're just resellers in another data center, and they don't have to have these headaches. We've learned a lot along the way.
But then they can't buy their wives those fancy statues.
That's right.
One of the things that really stands out, I think, is the fact that you stayed committed through the entire process, the ups and downs. Was there any point in time in your career that you're like, all right, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. It's me talking the bloody wall all the time, and I'm taking these dips after dips after dips, and I got to go figure something else.
So the second time we had that outage, I was crying on my electrical engineers of Industry City's shoulder. And I said, we're completely bankrupt. We're done. This is going to kill us. And then Ruben, shut up. But what? Nothing's going to kill us. It's going to make us stronger. We're okay. Stop. Relax. Let's fix this. I'm like, okay, let's fix this. So 2 of our guys that work for us, I'm not going to mention their names. They're still in the industry. They quit because they were just tired of running up and down with these power cables to the generators that would rent. They were just tired of all these outages. And they're like, we're done. I wasn't the one that was running. I was dealing with fires and customers and checking statuses. I wasn't really hands-on labor. So I understand where they're coming from. I mean, how many times can you do that until you say it's enough? So I was upset. I was crying. I was literally mentally hurt, but never quitting.
Again, so much of this resonates with my own story. I mean, we have a parallel kind of paths, right? So I think inevitably, when you're in any situation, particularly complicated, difficult ones, you always feel like you're the only one that could possibly understand it. And it's difficult to be vulnerable and to express areas where, you know, I have this offering and it's not perfect and I have these issues. And what was the experience you've been with your wife? What was that relationship like? I mean, it's not a regular job, right? You're getting calls all hours of the morning. You're freaking out about stuff. This is not 9 to 5, no matter how much money you're getting.
Right. No, she was a pharmacist. She was very supportful. I was in another room. I would take my calls. I would be at work. At that time, we didn't have kids. We only had our first child. She was born in 2006. So we already had the business going.
But you had 2006. You're still going through outages after outages. You still get that. I mean, 2012 was Sandy, right? So she's 6 years old when that generator gets installed.
I actually had to miss her. It was her birthday. It was her 8-year-old birthday. I had to miss because we had an outage. We were going to go to, we rented a house up in the mountains, myself and Ruben, both of our families. And just when we get there, I'll never forget, we unpack and it's her birthday. And then we're going to get away. Boom, power outage. UPS didn't turn on. All the servers rebooted. Now we're going to come back and handle all those calls. It wasn't power was out. It was just power outage, UPS fail. We had UPS failures.
And you're the guy responding, right? Because it's your thing. You and Ruben, you're up there together. Again, you couldn't be a more parallel, right? It was me and my brother, right? So we would go somewhere, a issue happened. We're flying down a highway somewhere, barreling towards a disaster. This is not an experience that I think most people recognize. Like you don't think of the digital infrastructure industry as being accountable to a human being. Like the internet goes down or some website isn't working and you freak out for a little bit, then you're like, whatever. But when you're accountable to it, there are people behind it. You're freaking out.
There are people who are paying me good money for this to be always up, and then I'm telling them that this is always up, and this is not the kind of people who we are. They just buy our service, and we really don't care. So it was absolutely horrible, and we could only do what we could afford because we had no loans or banks, and eventually it was all
But you're also, there's no one else to call.
Yeah,
right. I mean, you have to do it. You have to go there and do it.
And then you got to sell and sell and you get cancellation.
Right.
And
then you have to consistently put your own accountability on the line, because that's what you're selling. You're not selling a service. You're not selling my data center is better. There's a million better data centers, a million, even today, a million beta, but they're buying is you.
Right. The people can call me at 2:00 in the morning and they know that I will pick up the phone. And the same thing with Rook, and they'll email me and I'll respond to their emails right away. And that's the trust that we built with the customers and the long-lasting relationships that we have. These guys, all these clients know they're most of them are friends already. I have customers with me for 16 years that have been through all the shit since day one. A company called 123ehost.com. He will never leave me. Me and Sam are great friends.
I have customers for as long that you guys have tried to steal from me. Anyway.
Only Nomad.org.
It's true. Nomad.org. Ain't going nowhere, baby. Ain't going nowhere. They would offer them for free, and they still won't go because it's free. Because what we're selling is ourselves. Is that a learned trait? Did you always have that? The trust me, I'm the guy. Like, is that a trait that you had growing up?
Yeah. I always wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very outgoing. I have a lot of friends. I think my friends like me. So I'm always nice to everybody. I treat everybody as the way I want to be treated.
Except Greco.
Yeah.
They go taken care of.
Taken care of. I guess, where do you think that comes from? Is that from your parents? Is that just your DNA?
No, I think that's parents. I think that's definitely my upbringing. My grandmother was an amazing, amazing woman. Adore her. She's still alive, 86 years old and growing strong. My grandfather was also amazing. He'll probably listen to this and say I didn't mention him, but she's probably the person who molded me. Even my wife, when we would argue, would call my grandma, say, "Hey, who's right?" And my grandma would say, "He's wrong," or "You're wrong." So she's very fair. And I think I'm the same way. I think I grew up to be very fair, very outgoing. Always love to take care of my friends. Always very easygoing. You want to go here? You want to go there? I'm not the one who's like, "Oh no, I don't want to go to this restaurant."
So we talked about, when we've had some conversations in the past, we talked about this initiative that we're trying to build, right? With Nomad Futurist Foundation, trying to get new people to look at this industry and understand that it's run by humans and needs humans to continue to excel. I think we've both expressed a frustration with, particularly on the sales side, in it, like that one thing, that special something, that zeitgeist that is missing. Obviously, not everyone can have your grandmother, right? You have your grandmother, but do you think that can you put your finger on what's missing? And if it's something that can be taught or learned that will allow you to retire one day?
I don't even know. I want to retire. I don't know if I want to retire. I'm still young. Yeah. I'll be bored retired.
I mean, you'll find something else to screw up. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, listen, it's hard to find people to work with. Everybody thinks they're, especially salespeople, everybody thinks they're the best salesman in the world. But I think I'm one of the best salesmen in the world because I was able to build a company by selling into the company and make it successful. Not just me, but as well, and our team. But don't know. That's a very hard question.
If there is something that you can, so I'll give you my take. Okay. Right. And my take is culture, right? You've surrounded yourself with essentially family.
Yeah.
Right. You have Ruben there with you. It's difficult to believe that you would be able to be as successful if you didn't know that the team you had around you was all kind of rowing the boat in the same direction and had each other's backs and wasn't looking like in that corporate way of playing politics or any of those things. And it's difficult to do that outside of a small, tightly knit team. But there's an element of culture that I think is missing from a lot, like these companies, in order to scale, because it's so expensive to do digital infrastructure, always kind of left culture by the wayside. Like that's not the way to scale. The way to scale is you raise money and you hire people and you have these key performance indicators that you put on them. Do you guys do anything internally to maintain that culture? Obviously, you vacation together
right.
and stuff.
No,
as
we don't. Ruben never leaves together.
Yeah. It's like the vice president and the president, right? You can't, right?
Never leave together so that our clients always have access to one of us. But it is culture. But the thing, at the same time, I've had guys here that have worked here for 15 years, and we take care of them. They're paid above what they need to be paid for. So you have to take care of that. And it all goes back to money. Culture is culture, but people still need to be able to live and afford their lifestyle, especially if they're just in one company for a long time. But today you have these sales guys or business development guys. If you look at their LinkedIn, these guys are jumping ship every year. Every year they're jumping ship. Why? Because they ain't selling shit. They're not selling shit. By the time the company realizes that they ain't selling shit, it's a year and they're fired and they're going somewhere else. So we've never hired anybody here for business development. I've never hired anybody here. We've tried for sales. It's just, they're not in that code. You can tell 1 year, done. 1 year, done. And we see that. That's the trend. 1 year, business development, sales. So that culture from the sales side to business development side, we have a very close knit family. And on the support side, we just take care of our team and give them raises, bonuses, or make sure that they didn't want to go somewhere else. Because I've had some guys leave somewhere else. And guess what? 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. They keep talking. So it is culture, definitely. But it's hard when you got Facebook and starting salaries, $200,000 for some loser position. But it's only for a year, or maybe you're fortunate enough to stay there long. So that's why it's tight knit. But if we had those investments and all that, maybe you would have those business, 2 business development guys and this and 5 sales guys. But we're just like you, Phil, right? We're 2 locations, Jersey City, here in Brooklyn. We could have expanded everywhere and brought that flavor of Ray and Ruben and DataVerge or ColoGuard at the time to other places. We kind of kept it to this niche market and concentrate this and whatever. But yeah, culture is a big deal.
Yeah, it's certainly an amazing story. I think the lesson and the takeaway from me personally is the fact that if you're in, you're committed, stay in, don't give up. I think that's the most important thing. And build your own culture based on your founding principles and your values. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your experience and story. I mean, I thought we were going to just stay with the whole ColoGuard shit New York thing, but yeah, very, very touching for sure. If you were to summarize all of your experiences and knowing what you know today, what would you tell the younger Ray Sidler?
Just go, just basically anything you want to accomplish, you can accomplish, just put your mind to it and just do it. Would I've ever thought that we would have our own data center, 55, 60,000 square feet? Never in a million years. But we put our mind to it and we said, we're going to do it. And all these failures. So basically anybody can accomplish anything they want to be. I tell my kids, you want to be an astronaut? Put 26 hours a day of being an astronaut and you will be an astronaut. And if you put an hour a day, you won't. So anybody can accomplish anything they want as long as their heart is in it and they have the right values and the right mindset. The world is yours.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. From being on the gas station to being a sales guy selling hosting services to your first 100 square foot of the data center to now several thousand square feet. Ray, this has been an amazing journey. Thank you very much for sharing your story. Again, this is just absolutely immaculate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I felt the hair sprout. So thanks, man.
I feel it too.
This has been great. Nothing lasts forever. Markets will come back, currencies will rebound, businesses will go on, and we will all move on. That could happen next week, next month, or next year. At Nomad Futurist, we're confident that those who prepare rather than panic will come out of this stronger. Thank you for joining us. This has been brought to you by Nomad Futurist. Check us online at nomadfuturist.org, and thank you for listening and subscribing, as well as your continued support.